Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Stacking Pennies. Corley Joy alongside Ryan Flores. Big show. Would you believe it? The Wood brothers on their 101st Cup victory and Josh Berry's first. Going to join us on the show, so buckle up. Stacking Pennies. Let's go.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
Hey guys, we're in it. Corley the Joy sitting alongside Ryan Flores. Quick story before we even get into it. This one still makes me laugh this morning. So, sitting there talking to one of the security officers at NASCAR behind the NASCAR truck, and all of a sudden, this wadded up 12 car rolls by, chugging into like the little area that's wrecked, right? And you walk by, and they make it seem like a valiant attempt to assess the damage and try to fix it.
Oh, we were working on it.
Yeah.
And then I think everybody realized, like, we're not going to gain much. There's no front bumper left. Let's not.
And it was wrecked big time.
It was wrecked.
So you walk over, and we're just BSing.
I'm walking back to the pit stall.
And you're in the whole get up, right? Knee pads,
helmet
in hand. And golf cart rolls up. And one of the guys gets off and is like, hey, you need to go. And it took me a minute to like, oh, this guy thinks you're Ryan Blaney.
You figured it out before I did. He was like,
hey, man, let's go. And I was like, he didn't hit the wall. The guy sitting in that car did.
And they were both looking at me like, you got to go.
And the guy looked at you like, are you with me?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, the driver's in the car. That's not Ryan Blaney. It's name's
I sure
Ryan.
if I was driving this thing, I wouldn't be wearing these broke-ass knee pads. It wouldn't be me, man.
That one, dude, I was chuckling about that all the way home.
If you watch Days of Thunder, though, I kind of had the black on my face, a little dirty.
Yeah. I mean, you had the look going. And to be fair to him, your back was turned to him.
And my O&P fire suit fits very nicely.
It is.
But the lug nut on my hip might have given it away.
It's the race car driver fit of a pit crew fire suit. But nonetheless, yeah. We'll talk about the 12's tough day in a second. I had a tough day on Friday. My plan.
Fat fingered it.
I fat fingered it. This is my own fault. But I had a tough day. So my plan was to go out west to Salt Lake City on the way out to Vegas. I had to go to Vegas for Hilton Grand Vacations to do some appearances, shake some hands, and meet some folks out there. So my plan was to fly from Charlotte to Salt Lake to Vegas, fly back with the team a Sunday night after a race. My buddy Nick Greer out there with Built Bar, he texted, hey man, when am I picking you up from the airport? I said, let me look at my itinerary and get the exact time for you so we can coordinate this thing. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh, perfect. 2:36. And I'm like, oh, today's not the 21st. Today's the 14th. Damn it. I fat fingered it for the wrong weekend. So then on the phone with American Express, changing flights, kept the flight. I'm going to go out there this weekend, see those guys and hang out with them. And then, but then I had a commercial flight Saturday. So nonetheless, I fat fingered to start the weekend, and that was really the most exciting part.
It was a theme of the weekend because we had a team dinner scheduled at Silverado's in the South Point. We got there, and my pit coach goes to check in, and they're like, yeah, it's for tomorrow. So we all had this plans for team dinner, and then we went to Chipotle.
Yes.
My wife's like, you went to Vegas to get Chipotle?
Did you get the Ryan Blaney Bowl?
No, I didn't get the Ryan Blaney Bowl. I tried their new honey chicken. It's good.
Hey.
But man, I don't know. I don't go to Vegas to do anything anymore. I just go there to do the race.
I don't like it.
I did try something.
It's like Sodom and Gomorrah, man. It's like New Age. I feel like every minute I'm there, it's going to be fire and brimstone raining down.
My sister lives there, and I have a niece and nephew. My nephew's 6. And have you ever had boba?
What?
It's like some sort of like tea drink with.
Is that like fit tea?
It's got like
people on it on
the little gel
bikinis
things.
on Instagram.
He was adamant that I go to this boba place. It's in like a strip mall, and I met them there after dinner.
You're really selling me on it.
I didn't like it. I can be honest.
Do you pass a test after you drink boba?
I hope so. I didn't have to take one, but I don't know. It was like some sort of tea with some sort of like almost like half-ass gushers in the bottom of it that weren't really as good as gushers. We're not getting a boba sponsorship anytime soon.
That's fine.
I don't think that they're coming to help us, but
that's fine.
And it seems to be a thing because people are like, I called my wife. I'm like, what is this boba? She's like, oh yeah, Harper loves them. I've never heard of them. How does my 7-year-old kid that I do everything with love them?
We need to have some boba tea on the show.
Boba review.
You know what somebody else who fat fingered it, but actually got a large payday is DH twice, dude.
Yeah, but did you see he was
betting $500?
$500 a hand.
It's all relative, right? Because if you are pulling $5 a pull, then you might jackpot for like 8,600.
Yeah, but he had to wear that sweater. If he fell down, William sent this to me. If he fell down on the casino floor, you'd have lost him in the carpet with that sweater he had on. Where's Denny? Where did Denny go?
Camouflage the carpet.
Well, he's taking some serious risks with his fashion right now.
I don't know what that was.
When you're sponsored
it
by
looked
Jordan,
like
you just
some
do whatever
Native
you want.
American rug.
He's gotten to the point of wealth where he just like
doesn't care.
You really like, I'm gonna do some wild here.
Well, he hit for $126,000 on Friday night, and then he ran it back and hit for 86 the following night.
It's a good day.
I did see though. I think he was like 71 into the hole. Yeah, he hit a third for 63. Hickey says, "Good for him."
Hot hand.
Hot hand. He did not hit on Sunday. I didn't really get to keep up with the race. I was bopping all around, but I ended up watching some of it in the production truck. That was neat, man. Alex Strand from Amazon, he just is trying to help me get educated on the inner workings of the production of a NASCAR race, and I had no clue what it looks like in the production room. And sitting to my right is Artie, the one everybody has some sort of opinion about on social media. The guy to my left is Chuck. And these guys are like, almost like air traffic control of call-in camera splits and replays and graphics. Like these, like I was like 10 steps behind them when I first sat in there for probably half hour. And then once I saw the rhythm and the cadence and those guys talking to Mike Joy and Mike Joy talking back to that during the commercial breaks, it was actually really neat to see all that process. And also it's going to help me just understand how it all flows for the pre-race, post-race, and certainly for the race when I'm on there for Prime.
These guys are the same ones that do in Prime, or no? They're not.
No,
different guys.
Amazon people are doing Amazon stuff. I believe they're using some of the same stuff. Trucks, trailers are all the same. They all cross over between NBC, Fox, TNT, and Amazon. But there's obviously, I think the way in which you call a race, the way in which you portray the product of racing to the fans is kind of every unique broadcaster's IP, right? Like that's your IP of how you shoot the camera angles, what sound you're using, what storylines you lean into, which ones you don't. Everyone, I think, has a unique view on how they do that. I had an interesting perspective right there where the 8 car had the wheel fall off at a 2, and how they covered that and how they talked through that. That was pretty interesting to see.
Another thing that's interesting is that they announced who is going to be your co-host.
Yeah,
for the pre-and
cousin Carl.
Post. Yeah, damn Hall of Famer.
I know it.
Had a really good
listen
to his podcast he did with Dale Jr. this week. It was really good. I didn't realize how much tension they had, but I think it's going to be a really good thing for you. Have you talked to him much?
I texted both. I talked to Carl yesterday on the tarmac before he took off, and he was just asking my opinion on what the production truck looked like and what I learned. And we took off, so I didn't get a chance to really get in depth with him. I'll call him back today. But I think him and I particularly are used to seeing the sport out the windshield because that's the only perspective we've had in the sport. It's better, I believe, to put your opinion on if like you're standing not necessarily in the grandstands, but like on top of the hauler. And that's how, like, that's a perspective in which you need to talk about how the rhythm and the flow of the weekend goes and which teams are strong, which teams are not. And then also you get behind the wheel and look out the windshield. But I think zooming out a little bit and talking, it at least gets it closer to the fans' perspective on what they can understand. So I texted Dale. I listened to that Carl Edwards download on Wednesday or Thursday, and it was like, hit me right in the plums, but because he was saying a lot of the things that I realized, right? How much sacrifice you do to chase being a competitive Cup Series driver. You sacrifice a ton. Your marriage gets sacrificed. Your time with your kids gets sacrificed. And he legitimately got to the point where he's like, I don't know if it's worth sacrificing anymore. And I was a little bit frustrated with the media and fans in general, where they clipped and there was a headline running of just Hall of Famer says the races are rigged, right? That was like the one clip that they pulled out of this entire hour-long interview that had so much knowledge and so much wisdom from a competitor to a genuine fan of the sport to a father to a husband. And that's what they wanted to pull out. But that was just like a little ending of a sentence of how much work and effort it takes to be a professional athlete. And I called him, talked to him, and I was like, man, I appreciate you saying that, because that's the sort of stuff you feel and you know, but you're a little bit scared to get out in public.
Well, the fact that you have to prepare each week for a race, right? He said something in there where he said, for the first time after I was home for 2 months, my kid came down out of bed and laid on my side of the bed.
Yeah.
He never came to me. He always went to his mom, right? It's the little, like, that's the stuff that you don't realize is going on when you're chasing each week. And it's everybody in the garage, not just, I mean, the drivers have probably the biggest headache of it, but it's car chiefs, crew chiefs,
road crew guys,
pit crew guys, road crew guys, marketing people, right? They all live their life race to race, and it's so fast paced on the team side that you don't realize how up your job is until you step back from it.
Yeah. And you don't realize how much stress you carry week to week. Like I drive to the race now on a Sunday morning, I'm like, man, I have zero stress.
Buddy, when we had that
Holy
first pit
cow.
stop yesterday and cross-threaded a lug nut, and I was like, and then our second stop, the jack broke, and I was just like, we are living in hell. Like, but you have to, like, it's not your fault, but it is your problem, and you carry that, and you're like, all right, hey, time to be a pro. Get over it, fix this, and then we went and put ourselves in position where I felt like we could have won that race, right? But it's just like the stress that you feel and just the decisions you have to make in that moment and the impact of it. It feels like the whole world is crashing down on you, because it is your whole world.
For sure. That's all you think
but
about.
until you get out of it and go, oh, okay, we're not curing cancer here.
Yeah. Well, and Carl said that too. He's like, if I won, I was good. If I lost, I might as well be dead.
And that's not just driver, that's everybody in the sport.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So I texted Dale after listening to that. I said, I'm sure you're hearing a lot of positive feedback from that interview because there was so much good stuff. But I feel truly blessed to be able to work alongside two Hall of Famers, in Dale and Carl and Letarte and Adam Alexander and Daniel Trotta. It's going to be a fun group. And they're also looking forward to painting the picture and broadcasting the race in a little bit different way of what fans are used to seeing. So I'm super excited to be part of that. While also being excited for Bristol coming up here in a couple weeks too, to let that 0-1 stack and Penny Ford Mustang eat again. Yeah. But you know who else was letting that thing eat was Josh Berry, buddy. What'd you think about? Obviously, you have a bit of emotional attachment to that 21 car getting the 99th win for Ryan Blaney at Pocono.
I mean, all is right in the world when that 21 car with that paint scheme is winning races.
That's right.
It was really cool to see them win, and it's really near and dear to my heart because I'll just speak openly about it. I feel when I was a young tire changer trying to figure out how to pit race cars, the veterans were not super cool, right? And I made a decision probably 2-3 years ago when we switched to the next gen car, and there was new kids coming in. Like, man, when I come back in 10 years and see these guys, I don't want to be like, yeah, what's up, bro? I want to be like, hey, how you been? I want to have personal relationships with these guys. I want to help them, and I want to pass on and make it a better place. I don't want it to, I want to stop the chain of veterans being kids.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's so. Parks Jones, who changes front tires on that, like, I practice with him every day, and I've really, and all those guys on the 21, we've got some different guys this year than we had last year, but just like healthy competition, trying to just help them understand what it takes to win and have a long career in this. And to see them pit all day, they had a loose wheel, but Parks handled it perfectly. He went on the box. I don't feel good about it. Come back down. And it's like, I equate pit stops right now, and we'll get into this boats and woes, but it's like a plane when it has an issue in the air, right? It doesn't matter how messed up the situation is. Did it land safely? Mm-hmm. Okay, we landed safely. Mission accomplished. Same thing with pit stops, right? As messed up as it is, did the wheel fall off? Yes or no? Did we keep them in the race? Did we take a car out of the race? So they come back down, they take their lumps, they lose track position, but he didn't try to hide it. He didn't try to not say anything and hope it was tight. Like, you head on. You face it head on. Go up there. I don't feel great about this right front. Let's look at it. Let's come back down and tighten it. And now you lost some positions, but you're still in the race, and you go on to win a race. Then they pit on the last pit stop, and they come in second, go out second. I mean, some of those guys have been pitting race cars for this is their 5th race.
Yeah.
Right? There's a good mix of guys that were on the 4 and Stuart Haas last year, and guys that the Jackman's this is his 5th race.
Hey.
So
shout out, dog.
Yeah. So
what's his name?
Weston.
Hey.
He's crazy, but he's really good. But that's a big deal, man, to win a cup. Winning a cup race is so hard.
Yeah.
And competing at that level, we saw veteran guys have so many mistakes yesterday. So, yes, it's near and dear to my heart, and we'll cover more of that.
Daniel Smith on the rear of the 19?
What? Yeah.
Oh, man.
I got to look at that. I don't know what happened. There's a lot
of woes to be had on pit road this week. It seemed like every pit stop somebody was having some sort of issue. But before we get that, the 12 team, as you alluded to.
What a weekend.
What a weekend. 2 for 2 in practice for the last time you were there in the fall. Cut a right rear into 1, auger that thing in the fence, blew a right rear again. Lap 18, 17, 18 in practice. Again, there's a lot of juice in taking right rear air out. Whether or not that's the culprit, there is a ton of juice with diffuser height. There's a ton of juice in right rear security by bleeding air out, but you start really utilizing that sidewall, and then you will lose a tire. Yeah. That's what we saw with the 12. Just trying in practice, I believe, to creep it down and try to see what the threshold was, but unfortunately they found it. So they were digging.
Young Ryan Blaney going old school, working on the car here. There are guys like on our team like Raymond Fox, Brett McCutcheons, all the guys that we have. Raymond Fox, like I said, was the car chief for Davey Allison.
Yeah.
Right. He's been in the sport 30+ years. I think his grandfather's a Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame ballot. But just you can't when stuff like this happens, you realize how valuable those guys are. Mm-hmm. So just kept fighting, right? Don't get to qualify. Get a crappy pit stall. And then we have all the stuff happen in the race. First pit stop.
What happened?
We come around the left side, go to put the left front lug nut on, so fine, right side here. Green flag stop. Just take your time. No rush at all, right? Take care of the right front roll, not too bad. Come to the left side. Take the left side nut off. Go to put it back on. Right away, it cross threads, and I feel it, right? So what I could have done better here is I could have...
Does this feel like an eternity when you're trying to just get this thing? Are you trying to get it off? What are you trying to do?
So the nut skipped the thread. So I take it back. He drops the jack, and I'm on it, and I'm like on the comms, like, no. So we stop, right? Which is the number one thing why we have that's exactly why we have all these comms. Yep. Jack the car up. I take it off. I go to tighten it again. It doesn't tighten. I take it off, and it was still in my socket. I put the other nut up there, and I thought that I could rake it out of my socket. Well, it wouldn't come off. So I try to pull it out. I go to pull it out. Trevor goes to take the nut off, spins it tight. So now we're just just fumble effing around. So then we'll finally, that's why I'm like, Zach, come here. Because I thought Zach was standing there. That's why he runs over with the gun, but he was too far away. So I got it fixed and tight.
How long was the stop? 30?
Lost count.
Yeah.
It was a 9.5 on the drop, which was perfectly fine, right? It was just the lug nut didn't get tight. But like you said, okay, that happened. Deal with it. And that's kind of
Are you concerned now that the threads are galled up for the rest of the day?
Well, when I put the new nut on, it ran right up. So, yes, there's concern there. We have the chaser nut out. But you have to just keep going on with your day and trust that it's going to fix it. The next stop, we come in, the jack breaks, right? And everybody's like, what is going on? So
I heard I binged Full Swing, the Netflix doc on the way out to Vegas and back. And there's you saying that made me think about one of the great quotes out of that. One of the episodes was, the worst shot that you're going to take is the one after a shank. Because that's the one you're always concerned if you're going to. Are you going to shank it again? Or can you hit it well?
Well, it's like you better have a great day from here on out. And it's like, every time I jump off the wall, I plan on being great. Yeah. I don't ever jump off and go, I think I'm going to suck here.
Yeah.
Right? So, but there's that added pressure, right? And it's just like, last night after that race, it was such an adrenaline dump that I was like exhausted. And I was like, man, this is that feeling that just like sucks on the end of a Sunday into a Monday. Mm-hmm. And Anyway, we just kept fighting all day. Blaney got heated on the radio.
Oh,
Which
yeah, I heard about that.
people talk about that, and it's like, they're like, oh, what do you think when he says stuff like that after you have a bad stop? And I'm like, nothing. I don't think anything about it.
Yeah.
I was like, because he's in the car. He doesn't see it with clear eyes. I don't expect him to. He's probably frustrated.
Yep.
What happens in those 4 hours on Sunday does not define anything about a relationship he's going to understand when he looks at it either Sunday night or Monday morning that I did the very best I could. I put in the most amount of work I can to be the best on this team that I can be, and I've given everything for the team, and I'm not just doing this to screw them, right? So, like, we're going to have that conversation Monday or Tuesday where it's like, yeah, okay, this is what happened, this is what I could have done better, and this is what I'll do moving forward. But we didn't take ourselves out of the race, right? If that car leaves with that left front cross-threaded, wheel comes off, it's a good chance you hit the fence, you're out of the race.
Oh, yeah.
Day's over, 2 weeks suspension.
That's
so,
right.
Landed the bird.
Somebody who's had a hard time landing the bird on these ovals last couple of weeks is unfortunately Sean Van Giesbergen, or whatever Michael Waltrip called him.
Michael,
a friend of the show,
interview,
SVG. We all expect. I still believe he's going to be a playoff guy. I think he's going to win a road course, and I think he is a worldwide elite talent. And he just got in a bad aero spot here. The 42 starts bleeding off the bottom, and he gets in that situation where he's got a car in his right rear door, but his left front headlight's covered, and that is the danger zone with these cars. It seems like you just lose all left side diffuser pressure. So then, right, has 4 flat tires, comes in.
Something got broken.
Something got broken on the right front.
I don't know if it
Don't
was
know what that is.
wheel
Maybe
well.
there's a C-stay on the splitter that is bent from rubber wrapping it around coming from pit road. Who knows? We didn't.
I don't know who changes tires on this, but when you have a flat, that is something that you have to do is like look in the wheel wells and make sure everything, like you have to really check. And as we get into, and I don't know who it is, and I'm not trying to point fingers, but it's just something that happens. I see as we get into more and more college athletes and people that don't really have many mechanical skills and they're more pure athletes, those checks and balances kind of go out the window when you have adversity like that. That's why you see the road crew go over there and take care of it a lot of times when something like that happens. So you miss something small like that, and then it just snowballs the rest of your day.
So hate that for SVG. Hopefully he can start getting that ship righted coming this weekend. Love to come to Miami. I was sitting in the production truck at this time when the A car loses a wheel. Man, they didn't spend a ton of time talking about this. I felt like this was probably one of the biggest stories of the race besides Josh Berry winning his first career race. Home race for Kyle, looking to break the streak. Oh. Now, in that situation, that wheel was off, and it gets hung up in the wheel well, and then it cuts the wheel on the rotor on the upright.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, it's loose, right? And then it just cuts it off, and
right. But then it spits the lug nut off.
The nut comes off, and then you're running such low heights in the back that the tire's up in there, and it's kind of just tracking on the hub, and then it breaks itself and comes out. Man, that's tough because.
Why is it that we saw so many wheel issues?
So first mile and a half. Which means it's the first time when you go to so you got 2 super speedways, you can't really do fast pit stops.
Yep.
Road course can't really do fast pit stops. And Phoenix is a very challenging place to pit because wheel well openings are really tight, jack stops are really low. So all that stuff equates to just being slower time. This is the first place where you can just like get it.
Yep.
And everybody. Vegas is historically really challenging. I watched a lot of film on it before we went there. They're really wide pit boxes, but they're really narrow, so you tend to get bound up on the right side. There's a lot of distance between you and the wall, curved, and it's your first time working together with a lot of people, right? This is the first time that Jackman has worked with that rear changer in a very competitive mile and a half situation. So they're not reading each other's body language right. It's really easy. You are going terminal velocity. Yeah. This is a 1,000% athletic event, right? This is as hard as you can go. And you're talking thousandths of an inch between being tight and not being tight. Mm-hmm. And they didn't get it tight here. The other thing that goes in there is this time of year you have new people on top of the box, right? So who watches the helmet camera that's able to see that? Because For me, if I have any inkling that thing's loose, we're going to see it before we go back green.
Right.
And get them back down there. So that's another thing that's not checked about is the mesh between the changers and the guys that are watching the film and the road crew guys to make that call to get your car back down there. Because like you said, that's what keeps you in the race or doesn't.
Well, you kept them in the race right up to the point of impact here. Just a racing deal. I don't even know who to, there's everybody tries to take blame or put blame on different people. But you're talking about 4 wide on a restart, and you just run out of real estate here.
Oh.
I got the 99 very bottom, so we're 4 wide. 23's rolling top. 4's lane 3, 12's lane 2. 20 left a little bit, but you run out of room.
From the
man.
overhead, it looks like the 20
crowds them.
Yep. If you have the helicopter view.
And there was nobody that you can look at in that situation that was like, oh, that guy should have cracked it and backed out, because they were all pretty much door to door. Everybody was at least to the door numbers. So that was an unfortunate ending for you guys, as hard as you guys had rallied and got yourself back in position.
7 car.
Yeah, squeaked her on through.
I'm through it.
I'm through it, Harry.
It was.
This is the point where I'd like to run Ryan Blaney's audio from this. That made me chuckle. I can't drive it back.
No, he said, I'm not driving it back. It's destroyed.
I know.
And then Timmy followed it up with a 10 away.
Yeah, bring it.
So he was, in fact, driving it back.
Yeah,
We're like, oh, here he is.
Yeah. Took out a couple good cars. In-car camera to the 7 here. Smash, smash, smash. Smoke, smoke. Oh, no.
Whoa.
Right through the middle. There you have it. Was a 3 car caught up in that too?
I didn't know that. I thought the 7 car was cursed. I didn't think it could miss wreck, so that's good to see. That's like the first wreck it's missed.
We missed almost just as
a
many
year
as we
and a
got
half.
in.
What?
We missed just as many as we got in.
Well, that's good. When you're in the scrum, dude.
That's just tight, man. Sure, could the 20 have left a little bit more, and then the 12 could have faded down a little bit more? Sure, but when your car's 4 wide and there's 4 lanes on a racetrack, it's going to get tight. So that was an unfortunate ending. Where you guys sitting in points now?
7th now.
Okay.
But we got stage points. Like, even with all that stuff that happened in the first stage, you came back and finished 5th or 6th in the second stage. So the 8 and the 4 car crash. I didn't see this
8
one.
came back out here. They're running around trying to get some points. He's up in the weeds. It's so sandy and dirty up there, so he just drove right in the fence. And then I don't know though because his right front's up. He just got in the fence. But I don't know if something's on a racetrack, because rarely do you see right front pop anymore.
This is a right rear, right?
This is right front.
No, right here in the 4?
Yeah.
He popped right front.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like the old school. Pow! Ow, that hurt. Caution comes out here. Yeah, that thing was augured in the fence. El Beefaroo Mustang.
Beefaroo.
What is a beefaroo?
Something Noah found.
What if you had some beefaroo and a boba tea?
A boba?
Yeah. What do you think happens after you have a meal of a boba tea and some beefaroo?
A lot of time in the toilet.
Probably
not
so.
Good. Probably the same thing that happened. Probably standing at a urinal. The guy next to you just screams obscenity and waddles to the bathroom.
Yeah, that would sound like I never wouldn't know. Would not know. What else is there?
I didn't see the pass on the 21 pulled on the 99. I heard you have that pulled up.
Well, I don't even need to see it, because I just want to talk to the man himself, to bring him in the studio and just talk about it. Guys, career win number 1 for Josh Berry coming to the studio. Let's just get him in here and talk about this big dub coming up right after the break. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like we said, 101st Wood Brothers victory, but first career victory for Josh Berry. Join us on Sack and Pennies. Congrats, buddy. How's it feel Monday morning?
Man, it's been pretty awesome. Definitely. I kind of hate it was on the West Coast, so we didn't get to celebrate too much, just trying to get home and all. But it was just awesome race, and really it's been an awesome start to the season. I feel like we've been in contention in three of the first 5 races now, and we were able to capitalize yesterday with everything going on and get the win, which is pretty awesome.
I would agree with that take. The 2021 cars come out of the gate hot. Tell me about after West Coast, like you said, don't get a chance to really celebrate. You land what time? do you just wake up? Is it a normal day? Your daughter jumps on your head? Like what happens?
It's hard to sleep when you get back, especially after a race like that. I had to check it out, watch the broadcast towards the end, and I don't know, probably finally went to sleep about 4:30. But yeah, up and at 'em this morning and getting going. The daughter Mackenzie was already at preschool. Our babysitter stayed this weekend, helped us out. So she's at preschool, so I haven't seen her yet. But she was hanging out in the neighborhood with all the kids, and they were at one of our neighbors' house watching the races. I got a video of that. That was pretty cool.
Man, I don't know. You might have lucked out because when I changed tires when we won the 99th with Blaney at Pocono, and we had a hell of a party, and I think we were junked the whole rest of the week. So it might not be a bad thing, but definitely going to be awesome. Speak on the Wood Brothers a little bit. I remember when we got the opportunity to work for them when Ryan got that ride, and just going up to Stort and going through the museum and just being part of that whole operation. You're a racing guy. You're a short track guy. What has that been like just to be around those guys and even learn more about their history as you drive that thing?
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. And I think really from the first time that I sat with them and talked with them about this opportunity, like it just felt like the right move for me. I don't, just their history and legacy in the sport and, the old school grassroots type feel that the Wood Brothers bring just really makes it a lot of fun. And, we got to head up to Stewart in January and check out the museum there. And man, it's really incredible. It's just hard to even explain the history and all that's in that museum, just the pictures and trophies and uniforms and just the cars that they've restored. Some of them are, they just are nearly perfect. You feel like you could spend 7 or 8 hours there, and it's just amazing the effort that they've put in to preserve all that stuff and organize it kind of by the era. And man, it's truly impressive.
Yeah. I guess, man, I don't know where it's going to go that, but like just the keys they hold to the sport are so important. And it's a different balance. And I don't know if you felt this because you're part of that, but you're also in the Penske culture. And I'll be honest, when I've been at Penske now for 11 years, but when I first got there, it was a hard transition because it's just very structured and very different than the way I came from Stewart Haas. It was kind of free for all racer, get your stuff to the track, cheat it up as much as you can, see if you can win. And then at Penske, it was very much like structured. This is how we operate. That's not how we do things. So it was a tough transition for me. How was that transition? And I'm in a small role, right? Like I don't have that big of a role. For you, has it been kind of like a flood of information, or has it been kind of seamless?
Well, I think it's definitely been a good transition for me. I feel like that compared to I think back to even when I was at Junior Motorsports and being part of Josh Wise's program and then getting those opportunities at Hendrick, like I got a good understanding of how I got prepared really well for this opportunity through all that stuff. SHR was definitely a different feel, and obviously, and I don't even know that I feel like that. That everything that went on last year with the emotions of all that and the team shutting down, I don't even think that any of us got a fair shake of really how it is, right? Like just how SHR was. There's just so much going on that I think it was hard at times for us all to stay focused. And, so coming here, it's a new opportunity. And obviously, like you said, being a part of the Wood Brothers and their history in sport is, truly amazing to be a part of that. But also the culture and everything with Team Penske has been a really good fit for me. Honestly, I feel better prepared going to the racetrack. I really do. I feel like, we're in a really good spot. My crew chief, Miles, is, he's just starting as a full-time Cup crew chief, but he's more than prepared and has done a really good job getting me prepared for these races and obviously bringing fast race cars, which is, the biggest key to the puzzle.
You talked about almost the downfall of SHR, right? You're on this ship that's taking on water and everybody's trying to find the next life raft. And Chase Briscoe, to start the year, told us a story on he seemed like the first domino that had to fall that would then open the driver market up to fill these spots. So talk about the limbo as a driver while also wanting to finish as strong as you can for your current group, but also looking at the game board and trying to figure out where the best possible spot for you might be in the future of your career, while also being not in control of some of the variables. So that is something that for me was hard to navigate, of hoping something could happen, but having zero control whatsoever about the outcome.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, it was definitely an interesting couple months there. I mean, obviously once, SHR officially, announced what their plans were, then, that was when all the, the conversations and everything, all the puzzle pieces started trying to come together. And, I'll be honest, I'm not sure that I at first had the 21 car on the radar, because I think a lot of us felt like that's where Chase was going to head. So, when that opportunity come about, it all happened really quick, but it definitely felt like the right move for me to go there for, like everything I said before, right? Just the Wood brothers and who they are. And then, the affiliation with Team Penske seemed like it was going to be a great fit for me, but it was a challenging time. I mean, last year was, it's like, it felt like each and every, it seemed like the season, it was like 3 or 4 seasons in one, right? Like you had the start of the year, which was just trying to adapt to a new opportunity. But the whole time there's all these rumors and stuff going on about the future of the team. And then, really the best part of the season was, pretty much right after we actually found out what was going to happen. And everybody, it seemed like we really, put together a lot of good results that, help my future plans for sure. But, I don't know. It was a challenge like I've never really faced before. And, I tell you, I think that, I learned so much through that process, just, you learned a lot about yourself and learned a lot about, just racing and going through that stuff. You find out a lot. And, I hate that, our results weren't a little bit better in the 4 car, because, Rodney and that whole group was just so amazing to deal with. And I tell you, I hate that, I think sometimes looking back on it now, it looks like, I don't want those guys to feel slighted, because they had a huge part in preparing me for this opportunity. Right. And, we were dealing with, a lot of stuff going around us at, last year at SHR. And honestly, I feel like Rodney and the 4 team, and even going back to Kevin, before, I mean, they were the glue holding that place together, to be honest. And that seemed pretty apparent to me.
Yeah, I saw you yesterday tearing down your pit box. I saw you share that moment with Rodney. You guys talked for an extended amount of time on pit road as you're heading to Victory Lane. Care to share any of those words that were said?
No, I mean, obviously just, he was just happy for me, right? I mean, it meant a lot for him to stop. Rodney's a great person and a great crew chief. And, I know how badly he wanted to win a race last year with me, and we tried our damnedest to do it, and had a few opportunities over the course of the year. But, we kind of went our separate ways at the end of the deal. But, I still talk to Rodney, nearly every day. Honestly, I talk to him a lot, and he's just been a huge supporter of mine. And, those guys, like I said, they, have play a huge part in my future, because, guys like Rodney and Cheddar and Eddie, were a huge piece in, teaching me cup racing and preparing me for what I'm doing now.
Man, that is awesome. Eddie DeHunt, spotter, for some context for the people listening, but what an all-time greats on the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Take us through from the time you get the lead from Suarez with about 15, 18 to go. You had to be thinking it wasn't going to be straight up. You had to be anticipating the yellow. So what was going through your mind from 15 to go, 10 to go, 5 to go, and then that white flag?
Yeah, I think, lining up, on the front row there, and that battle with Daniel was intense there. And I think, we were, I knew whoever would be able to get out front for a minute, I feel like, would have a great chance of winning the race. And, honestly, when Daniel got in front of me on the restart, I was a little frustrated, thinking that it would be tough to pass him, but we were able to kind of take the fight back to him and get around him there, after a few laps. And I was honestly surprised at the gap we pulled, pretty quickly there, which that kind of, let me settle in a little bit. We had, it seemed like a 10 or 12 car length lead. It kind of could settle in and just not make any mistakes. Obviously, just hit my marks and try to, manage my stuff a little bit, make sure I don't, do anything crazy to, get the car way loose or anything like that, and just settled in. And you're just clicking them off, really. Jason was counting them off. It seemed like, and you're just sitting there thinking, like, just wanting it to stay green. I mean, that's as simple as that. You just don't want the caution to come out, because these restarts are so crazy, and we'd probably pit it again and everything. So, yeah, just thankful it stayed green, and just tried to soak it in as much as I could those last few laps.
I got an interesting stat that blew my mind when I read it yesterday, and I wanted to know what it means to you. You are now the first NASCAR Weekly Series champion to ever win a NASCAR Cup race. I mean, that blew my mind when I heard that, but you've obviously put in a lot of work in the late model ranks. What does that mean to you to be the first one to do that?
Yeah, no, I saw that as well, and that's a really, really cool stat. And winning that championship is something that I look back on, really, so some of my most fondest memories in racing, right? Because that championship is it's a complicated system, honestly, how the national championship works in the weekly series racing, but it's a tremendous amount of work. And really how it's structured, you kind of, the more you race, the better odds you get, because it counts I think for us it was like your best 18 races of the year or something. So obviously the more you race, the more opportunities you give yourself to win. But thinking back on that year, it was just such a crazy year. And I remember we were going to Hickory and racing on Saturday night. We'd come home, switch. So we had two cars that we used the majority of the year. We'd pull one car out of the trailer and put another one in and go to like Southern National on Sunday or somewhere like that, race, a couple times a weekend, several times. And it was just a tremendous amount of work, but it was so much fun racing with that group, and just the wins we had and the fun we had, right? It's just something you think back on so fondly. I think it's kind of interesting. Obviously in that moment, I never thought that I was going to be racing in an Xfinity again, or obviously Cup for sure. I felt like I was going to be a career short track racer. And, I said yesterday, I wanted to be Bubba Pollard. I wanted to be, one of the guys that, people think of as being, one of the best short track racers in the country. And, I think it just shows, it's so hard to win at that level and win so much that you can become a national champion, that, a lot of times those guys that are coming through the ranks don't stay in the short track scene long enough to have that kind of success. So it's just a really, really unique story from my end, I guess.
It seems like there's a general, almost like a disposition where the talent scouts, quote unquote, are looking more at dirt rinks, guys in midgets, right? Guys in sprint cars. That you get the Corey Days of the world, and it seems like people's focus, cup owners' focus, is more on a dirt development system as opposed to a weekly short track rank, right? But now we're sitting here talking to a guy who did that, who did late model stocks in the Southeast and cut his teeth and got the opportunities and made the most of it. Do you think that short track racing, particularly on asphalt, late model stocks, super late models, are overlooked when it comes to how deep the talent pool is on that side?
Yeah, I think so a little bit. And honestly, I feel like, really, ever since I went to the Xfinity Series and won those races, like I felt like it changed a little bit. I feel like, it gave some hope to a lot of those guys. You see more and more of those guys, whether it's getting an opportunity in the Truck Series, ARCA Series, Xfinity Series type deal, or even, some of the guys that, maybe didn't think it was possible and have, really are putting in more effort to find funding to go run those races and do different stuff. Like, I mean, I feel like it's changed a little bit. I feel like I moved the needle a little bit and kind of brought some attention back on the Cars Tour and late model racing, super late model racing. Because I mean, it's hard, and there's a ton of talent at those levels. I mean, if you go to these big marquee super late model races or Cars Tour races, there's a tremendous amount of talent, and there's a lot of depth in the field.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here. I feel I totally think that the Cars Tour has taken all of the late model guys and given them an opportunity to compete against each other, right? So it's not just the guy at Langley or the guys at Hickory. Like it's meshed everybody. But I'm going to ask you, give me 3 guys, short track guys, that you think deserve an opportunity, but there's a caveat. They can't all be Cars Tour guys. You get 1 Cars Tour pick, and you got to give me 2 somewhere else.
Gotta let the guy study for this one.
I know. You're on the spot here. These are the good questions.
Man, I know. I feel like I need to think on that for a minute.
I can give you Connor Hall. I can give you that, right?
Yeah.
His teammate. I can give you that one.
I mean, Connor comes to mind. I thought he was the one that kind of comes to mind. Obviously, he's won a lot of races, national champion, Cars Tour winner. Even he was one of the ones I was kind of referring to that kind of was able to put together a truck deal last year, I remember, and did really well, I thought. So, he obviously comes to mind. On the super late model side of things, obviously your mind automatically goes to, guys like Bubba and Stephen Nasse. I mean, they have a tremendous amount of success. I even think, probably one of the best guys that I've been around, I feel like, at that level is Derek Thorne. I mean, he's like he's an older but tremendous race car driver, snowball derby winner. I don't know. I think there's just a ton of talent at those levels, and it's really cool to see how much attention's been brought back to that short track racing, and more people are watching it. I feel like from when the majority of my Cars Tour success, I feel like it was just starting to gain some momentum, and now seeing the attention that it's getting has been really cool.
You talk about guys like that. Derek Thorne's another. I completely agree. That guy's a dog. I think he's ARCA West champion too, I believe. And you talk about cats like that, and their short track or just their trajectory relative to yours isn't that different, right? A ton of success, a lot of hard work, a little bit late in terms of when you get opportunities. So what was the difference, or what was that opportunity for you? Clearly Dale Jr. certainly had a hand in that, but what was that call or what was that opportunity that kind of kept your snowball rolling down the hill?
Well, I kind of go back to the, our 2020 season when I won the national championship. We had raced, I think we raced 38 times that year and won 28 of them. So we had like a tremendous year, just like crazy stats, ton of wins, win the national championship, a few big wins across the course of the year. And, for me, we were actually doing the virtual media day for the national championship. One of the things I hate the most about that whole deal is that I didn't have a banquet or anything. Like we just, it was all virtual type deal because of COVID. And we were doing the virtual media day, and I think I was on with maybe MRN or somebody, and they kind of announced to me that, I had an opportunity to drive the 8 car for 12 races in 2021. And that was a complete surprise to me. I had no idea at all that was happening. And so it was, it was almost shocking, right? Like and I guess what it boiled down to is, Dale and Kelly, LW Miller, I guess they decided to give me that opportunity, and we really didn't have a big plan for it. We didn't have a, sponsor for all of it, or anything like that. They just wanted to throw me in and just see what happened. And, really, like I said, if you go back to the day before that, then, I'm thinking in my mind that I'm a career short track racer and we just come off this great season, and, we're just, we're going to race the next year and kind of keep going and keep doing it as long as I could. Really, that was where my head was at that point. I was having a lot of fun and loved racing, and I felt like as long as, Dale and Kelly LW would keep me in the fold and let me be a part of that program, I would keep doing it. But knowing that I was going in that Xfinity opportunity, my mindset had to change pretty quickly to think that, hey, like I gotta, this is my opportunity. How can I make this work? And, just, starting the next year and going and winning that race at Martinsville and the Xfinity Series was I think just the moment that had to happen for me to, keep going. And we were able to, get some sponsors lined up to do a full-time season, and, it kind of just took off from there.
Does sitting here Monday morning after your first career cup race, does it give you does it take some stress off, or does it even put a little bit more pressure on now? You're going to be in playoffs, wanting to make a deep run.
I'm not really thinking too much about the playoffs at this point. Obviously, really just trying to soak this in as much as I can. But I feel like we've had a really solid start to the year. It's like I said earlier. Like I feel like I don't think that we should be a championship favorite by no means, but I think that if we keep building like we have and keep learning each other and bringing fast race cars, I feel like there's going to be more opportunities to run in the top 5 and top 10. And really that's, I think that's where our focus is. I feel like where we've been at the 21 car is really just trying not to, especially me, just trying not to overthink anything we're doing. Right. Like I'm in a great team with the Wood brothers. We have affiliation with Team Penske. There's a lot of knowledge and tremendous amount of depth and success in that organization. So I've just kind of been leaning into that and letting these guys go out and do their jobs and prepare the car and prepare me the best we can, and just go out and just try to execute these races the best we can. And I feel like that's been working, and I think we're just going to keep trying to do the same thing.
I know today they're probably going to be working you like a stolen mule with all sorts of media. So we're going to ask you the 3 questions that we ask every guest, especially now it's your first time on Stag at Pennies. Thank you for your time. Question number 1. Yeah. If you had to pick one type of race car, year, whatever, and one racetrack to race at for the rest of your life, you don't get to race anything else, what do you pick?
Man. That's a tough one because I feel like everybody's going to say a late model stock, but I'm not. I'm going to say a super late model at Pensacola. Man, that's some of the most fun that I've had going and doing the Snowball Derby. We qualified on the pole a couple years ago. That was such a cool deal. Qualifying there it's just so amazing, man. Seeing that and being a part of that. So I tell you, it's I think the natural answer people would say late model stock, but the super late model has been a really fun challenge for me, so I would go with that.
I'll just use that first Cup win bonus and be like, Cup car Vegas. I want to race that every week.
I know, especially if I got one like that hot rod. Absolutely. Question number 2. What's the most embarrassing moment you've had at the racetrack?
Probably, I don't know. There's been a few. I think one of them that comes to mind would be 2021. Actually, this was like the race before I won at Martinsville. We were at Phoenix, and we had an issue on pit road. We were running good, and we'd had an issue on pit road, and got put to the rear, and was kind of working my way through the field. And Santino Ferrucci actually shoved me out of the groove coming off a 2, and I smoked the wall and went down in the next corner and cut a tire and wrecked like hell. And I got out and gave him the old double birds. Then it was pretty viral. I don't think it made the broadcast completely, but somebody had taken a picture of like the track view on the pit box, and it was clear as day. And I guess in a way people laughed about it and thought it was cool or funny, but looking back on it was pretty stupid. That's something I wish I wouldn't have done for sure. I remember I got called to the Xfinity hauler, and Wayne Otten's like looking at me, and he's like, you can't do that, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know. But that was pretty embarrassing.
Well, they're going to eventually use it as some marketing material anyways, so they ought to thank you for it. Question number 3.
Yeah.
If I had like the Men in Black pen, a lot of kids on the show don't even appreciate this analogy because they're too young for the movie Men in Black. But if I had the Men in Black pen that zapped all your memories and you only got to keep one racing memory, and you can't use yesterday, you have to pick one memory in your life to keep. What do you keep?
The Valley Star 300 win in the late model stock at Martinsville, for sure, man. That was that's still, I think, my favorite win. Definitely up there, if not, probably my favorite, just because, racing those cars for years, Martinsville was always the pinnacle, right? Like it felt like, especially more success we had, you just felt like you started building towards Martinsville like in the early summer and trying to get your cars as fast as you can. And, a lot of times you build a new car or, a relatively new car, you save your best motor, you save your best for that race. And, I'd went there 7 or 8 times probably, and about half of them, I'd wrecked out, really never even had a good finish. And going there and winning that race, and we dominated it, was just an amazing moment. And like I said, when you race that long with the same group of people, those moments and those memories, really mean a lot to you. And going there and accomplishing that, bringing home the grandfather clock in the back of my truck, man, that was fun times.
That's probably one of the hardest races to win. I think that, I don't know, I think that and the Snowball Derby are probably 2 of the hardest races to win in the country. I would say. I don't know.
Cup racing's hard to win.
Last time we went and ran a short track race at Martinsville, Corey won it, but we didn't get to enjoy it because Tommy Baldwin was screaming at us the whole time.
You'll have that.
That kind of hindered that one.
Yeah, you'll have that. Well, Josh Berry, enjoy the moment, buddy. You earned it in that entire 21 Wood Brothers racing team. 101 wins for that group, and number 1 for you, and we anticipate some more. Congratulations. Thank you for joining Stack of Pennies.
Great job.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, man. Time for some pit road boats and woes. Almost more woes to even count, but we're going to start with the 19 here. Lost a wheel.
First off, this car had scales. It was paying like a fish.
Well, this is actually, I think, an accurate depiction of what this car looks like. It looks like a catfish.
Man, these guys, see, this is, and we're going to see it later with the 20 car. That's James Small's got to call that.
Yeah.
And you have to, listen, you are on the ragged edge. Everybody, it's not like it used to be where sometimes you have loose wheels, sometimes you mess up, sometimes you didn't get 5.
Yeah, it's off.
You are on the ragged edge, and you have to be ready at any pit stop for everything to go completely crazy.
Yeah.
And it's on James to these guys are standing up. There's no reason that he goes back onto the racetrack. Right? If he stops and backs up, you're still way better off than you were.
So what's the move? As soon as those guys are adamant, like,
stop, back up.
Yo, get back here.
Yeah, at like a high volume to let them know to not keep going.
Yeah.
So that's something that.
And it was never communicated to him that they had a question about.
Yeah, look, the first problem is the lug nut's not on, right? I don't know. It's hard to tell because the. Well, yeah,
way too late.
Yeah, way too late. That's something that you got to build in a little bit better. First problem's first, right? The wheel was loose. I don't know why. I can't tell because the 8 cars carrier was kind of standing down there, so I couldn't really see from that angle. But if they don't pin correctly, like the left rear is a tough one because the jackman jacks the car up, puts the left rear on. If it doesn't get back all the way, the nut doesn't catch or it chugs. Once he gets the left rear on and feels like it's on there, he's not looking again. He's turning and ripping. And Daniel tried to stay with it, but like on the front, when my nut didn't go on, I could just get drugged by the car all the way out. The rear's got drive load, so it's going to break your wrist.
For sure.
So you got to get out of there eventually. But yeah, the first problem is obviously the wheel's not on, but that happens a lot. We're seeing that. That is something you have to kind of build into your
protocols,
just your mental capacity too, that like this could go wrong. Let's land the plane and get the wheels on it and stay in the race. They needed to back them up there. 20 car has a similar instance. They're back. They're in pit stall 39 or 38, whatever it says there. See Blake Houston stays on the lug nut there.
He needs to stop in somebody's box. Stop in somebody's box. in a box. Stop in a box. Tighten up the left side. Tighten up the left side.
It's pretty impressive that the
One inside.
one that he didn't get packed. But these guys knew pretty quickly
what to expect.
All right,
Pretty quick audible.
Don't speed. Don't
Pretty
speed.
quick audible by that 19 crew.
You see, if I don't want to give up all my stuff,
Add
but
your mark now.
I don't know
Don't give it all.
how
Get most of it.
I don't know how the
They did not hit
20
left rear.
and the
That's fine.
19
It was the left
communicated that it was just the left front, but somehow they
Recovery
did.
there, guys.
Because
That
like
is a game changer.
Daniel
We don't
kind
have
of
to go
knew
to
that the
tail.
left rear
We
was.
got
At
a
least you
whole
can
race car.
look and maybe tell.
Yeah.
But what?
No, that
Dude, not in that quick.
was
No,
7
that's not coming
seconds.
by that fast. But if it's me and my teammate stops in my box, I'm just tightening all four.
Yeah.
Like, let's just make sure.
Especially it's under caution. So the difference between the 19 way of the way they handled it versus the 20 was completely different. And to your point earlier in the show, it keeps them. It lands the plane and keeps them in the race.
Yeah. That's
Obviously, you got to go tail end because you pit outside the box, quote unquote. But still puts Christopher Bell not behind the 8 ball, keeps his guys, and from not having a vacation for 2 weeks.
I did hear that wheel might even been tight. Like, Blake might have gotten it, but yeah. Anyway,
Anyways.
it definitely was now.
Well, right here, 77.54. Ty Gibbs having a tough stretch. Also augering that sprint car in 3 different times. Certainly didn't help his case Saturday night.
Yeah, that's
54's
common.
tailed out a little bit. Generally speaking, the 77 should stop back in his box.
Yeah, but he's coming around.
Oh,
the
he's
23,
coming
so
around
he
the
can't.
23, and he's nosed in as well.
It's so
and the
challenging.
54. The worst place for this is Charlotte. Oh man,
Oh, man, I had
and
another
that's
one.
I feel like that's on Luke.
Yeah.
Luke Lambert, crew chief for the 77, right? You're trying to put rights on. You're trying to get track position, but I'm sure his intention was to try to beat the 54, or at least hope that they might give him the right away. But the 54 was committed to the box by that point in time. So that.
See Braxton Brandon carrying. He's got a wrench on his helmet, a tire, and a jack. He is a veteran of the sport. But you listen, where Braxton Brandon, a guy that's been doing this for a long time, where his value comes in here. Like, do you remember when Brad came in the box of Pocono and hit all his guys?
Yeah.
Braxton was the guy that landed on his face. So he's been like through these scenarios time and time again.
Yeah.
The big thing that happens there when your car gets turned around and everybody goes to change tires, you get the tires on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Or you don't get the right front on the right rear.
Right.
Guys like Braxton are the ones that orchestrate and make it all like
Work.
Hey, make sure that we don't mess this up.
Yeah.
Because they've been there and done it. But that 54, golly, I feel just terrible for what they've been going through. And the pit stalls of Vegas are really, really challenging. I watched a lot of film this week to understand why. They're very big. They're very wide. And you're on top of each other. Like they're kind of, as big as they are, they're kind of tight in the same sense. So we had that same issue with the 16. We were in between the 16 and the 9. It makes it very hard to roll your tire back to the wall because, like, what we saw with the 77, they rolled their tire back almost the same time the 54 was jumping off the wall. So if my tire crosses their line a little bit and their tire changer jumps off the wall and clips it, it's a penalty for me, right? So you got to, like, keep your stuff in bounds at that point. It's very important to qualify well and have an opening out so you can be aggressive with your right front tire roll.
Got a clip up here if you're watching on YouTube of the 45. Slow pit stop under green. Flag conditions. Right side's clean. Tires off are clean. Chugging the left rear nut on. Oh, boy. What happens there?
So that almost looked like what mine looked like on the left front.
Are now you worried about when you got to pull that sucker off? Now
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Chug-a-dug that thing on there?
Yes, but what happened there, what happens at times is when they put the wheel on, when the jackman or the carrier will put the wheel on, some of the aluminum will scrape the studs and get into the stud, and then your nut tightens over it. Like if a shard gets sideways, and it'll chug it all the way down. See, initially when he hit it and it stopped, it almost looked like it cross-threaded, but then if it keeps going, you can just stay on it, stay on it. Mine hit it and then stopped, and it wasn't tightening. So good job on them seeing that. Banks,
not
that's a
ripping it.
good eye. That's a good eye on Banks to see that and be able to, like you say, land a plane.
Land the plane. Money stop with the 22. I don't know where he came in here.
Leading.
He came in leading. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Slid
really?
long and too close to the wall. Oh, no.
It's just a debacle. Do you have another view of this or no? I haven't seen it yet. So
How many to go is this?
here's what.
Like 20 to
There
go?
was something going on with the 22 where they couldn't get the right rear out of the fender well all day. Like it was not drooping properly or something was going on. So they were not able to do fast pit stops for one reason or another. So the way, and I don't know, I'm speaking out of school, but the way that Joey thinks, right, is, okay, I'll help them any way I can. Like, I'll maximize my lights and get some back. So I don't know if that was maybe a thing there where he just tried to get a little too much, try to help the pit crew out, because he knew that, they were having an issue on the right rear that they weren't going to be able to do a fast stop. So, like, hey, I can try to get a half second here, maximize this. Like, that's how detail-oriented Joey is.
Yeah.
Vegas is a place where if you get your left front locked up and you don't kind of get in that grip that everybody sprays on the pit box,
Slide right through it.
you slide right through it. And once they're locked, you're done.
Yep.
And he was on a turn too. So as he's he's on a curve, so he's turning into his box. So it's unloading the left front. It's easier to lock it up.
Oh, yeah.
So that was tough, and it was a tough way to lose the race. They were on the same strategy, fuel mileage strategy, to kind of win that they won last fall in. So it's a tough one to swallow, but
One
go to
man's
work.
trash is another man's treasure, and not Josh Berry getting the dub on the
Josh
same
Berry.
strategy.
I was gonna. Josh Berry touched on. They had a loose wheel. Good job to those guys, but they are not the dogs of the week. That leads us to this week's dogs of the week, and that is the 99 team.
Hey.
The boys have been putting in a ton of work this year. Daniel Suarez, man, a lot of chatter about what's going to happen next year, what's going on. I see that they've had a little bit of a rough start to the season. They've been running really well, right? He got turned around at Coda, gets Catherine Legg wrecks in front of him at they get in that wreck at Phoenix. Then this week they put themselves in position to win the race, and their pit
P2.
crew was on it. Every pit stop I saw them, they were doing. Every time I look up at the ranking boards, I don't have the average in front of me, but every time I looked up at the board, we have that live, they were the fastest pit stop, and they were cranking it out. So shout out to those boys, tire carrier Charlie Plank.
Hey.
We talked about Charlie Plank a couple of years ago when he got hit. He's never going to live it down. When he got hit at Talladega by Zane Smith's truck.
Yeah.
Great to go. Hey, I'm great to go. Front tire changer Josh Bush. Believe Josh is a Super Bowl champion.
Really?
Yeah, for
cool.
the Denver Broncos.
Hey.
Check me on that before you put this up. Milan Radonovic, Jersey guy, is the fueler.
Dog.
Josh Appleby, Jack Man, and Seth Man. I don't know
Louisville
how to say his
Hunter.
last name. You tell me how you say that.
So,
Gajoris?
Gajoris. He
Gajoris?
changed tires on my ARCA car back in the day.
Yeah.
Seth did.
Yeah, these guys been around.
He was in the Roush system. Cool to see Seth run well.
This 99 team, I'll say this, they were super fast to end the year last year. You could tell they've had a great offseason. They've come back with all the same guys, and they're hauling the mail. So good job, the 99. Hope to see them in victory lane with Daniel Suarez here soon.
Congrats on being dogs of the week. It's a big honor. Let's see what kind of penny for your thoughts questions we got too. Fire it up, Danny.
First one comes from Chelms
I
229.
believe that's C Helms. But
Chelms.
anyways, you sure?
They need to put a space in there.
Sure.
Maybe it's CH Elms.
Maybe. Charlie Elms.
Chelms 229. How would you feel in Logano's situation? Not top 10, no top 10s, about to win, and the pit stop messes up.
Bad.
Yeah, man. Crappy. Ultra Clean Air 1. Can a team spray pan spray or end dust or something on the inner part of the rims? That is a good question. Teams have done that in the years past. Here, it's a fine line. There was back in 5 Lugnut days, there was guys that would like live and die by that. I never really got into it because I always
Pam,
felt like
literally
it got onto the wheel
cook
and it
some
would make it
pancakes
slippery.
and then
Like I've seen people put enough Pam on the wheels where it makes it slip.
yeah.
They have that like super slick 77 stuff now that's a little bit better. You can have some stuff that's a little bit better than Pam.
Avocado
that
oil.
was more of an old school thing that guys did. Now, not so much. And there's so much brake dust that the Pam's not gonna help you
Yeah.
that much. Lun_photography. I'll be attending my first NASCAR weekend in Dover this year. Will you be there, Corey? See you there, Skip.
I won't be, not at the moment, but Dover's one of my favorite tracks to go to. It's so fun.
Dover's the best. We've had some good memories there together with the East car, and I love it. I love Dover. Home race for
track.
me. So excited to see you there. Come say hey.
1870 off-road. Corey, do drivers ever door each other cleaning tires for restarts? Is it an etiquette? I'll tell you, man. I think about it often because if you're just kind of like nonchalant warming your tires and somebody's going on the inside lane like swerving a big sweep to the right and you're doing the same thing, like I've hit tires before. Pow!
The 5 and the 1 did it this weekend.
Yeah.
I saw them I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and you're like, you can't even be mad because I hit you and you hit me and you didn't even mean to. You're like, oh, man. Stay over there. Yeah, you hit wheels, scrubbing tires on occasion.
So Higgy asked this question, and I think it comes from Mark Martin's tweet that he said to Josh Berry, you could tell this guy works on race cars because he didn't do a burnout of your specs equipment. He said, if Mark Martin or Alan Kwiecki were driving in today's Cup Series, do you think they would be heavily involved with the race car setups as they were back in the day?
I think it's a little bit of a misconception to think that the majority of drivers aren't involved in their setups over the weekend because that's what the amount of effort and time it takes, especially the guys on the pointy side of the garage, they are involved in those conversations, most of them, based off previous results. Joey's talked about it at length when they were preparing for Phoenix, right? They would look back at their gateway setups. They looked at their previous Phoenix setups to really go all in on what their car is for Phoenix. So it's not like only one or two guys know the nuances of how to set a car up. Like these guys have been doing it long enough, especially from practice and how you articulate what you need out of your car. If it's, a little bit of front roll, if it's, platform control, if it's on the left rear bump stop, like those certain things, there's 25 guys that know every nuance of how the car reacts. But then you got the Kyle Larsons that just send it and say, hey, make this thing go better, Cliff. But I would say there's 20 to 25 guys that know a decent amount of what's going on. But the cars are much more technical. And with the tires being wider and the lower profile tires, I believe the tire slip bullseye is much smaller to hit. So the devil's in the details and all that. And certainly a guy like Alan Kwiecki. Story about Alan Kwiecki. My dad was at Rockingham just hanging out and helping Alan Kwiecki probably in the early 90s, maybe late 80s. He was coming down and trying to just find his way. Goes to a test with Alan Kwiecki at Rockingham. Paul Andrews is there as his crew chief, and he was sitting on the wall just listening. My dad was. And Alan said, we need to move the right front bump slug down 30 thou because we need to get this right front to bump a little bit. My dad's like, yeah, right. You're saying you can tell a difference in 30 thousandths of bump shim in the right front. Sure enough, they changed the right front bump slug and like 1/10 and a half better. And my dad's like, okay, maybe I should start paying a little more attention. So Alan was certainly ahead of his time when it come to being involved in setups, but a guy like him, engineering minded, would certainly take this car and have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Last one comes from Ace Flores. If the car from another team manufacturer stops in your pit stall, say one of the last stalls before leaving pit road, would you help them tighten that tire? I don't know if I'm allowed to help another manufacturer per the NASCAR rules. I mean, I probably wouldn't touch another team's car no matter what. And I would think that another team, especially another manufacturer, wouldn't stop in our pit box, right? Our pit crews are on the front row car or the 21 car. Like that could be a situation where I could possibly help them out. But I guess after this weekend, I'm going to have to ask our coaches and
what
our
cars can we hit?
Directors, like, hey, explain this to me in full detail. Like, who they is 34, 38? Are they fair game? Like what? I don't know what that looks like, and is it fair game if we stop in their box, right? I don't
Right.
know what the rule is there. I guess I'm a little bit ignorant to that. So,
Well, it's uncharted waters we're in right now with that sort of stuff. Hopefully you don't find yourself in that position. No?
amen.
Penny Stackers of the Week. I was sitting there talking to Alex on a golf cart during the race, just like where they park all the golf carts there as you walk to pit road. And one of the gate guards walks up. I believe his name was Chip. Walks up. Hey, man, listen to the show every week. Just in his yellow shirt, garb, headset on. So shout out. I'm not sure if it's Chip, but if it's Chip, thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for coming up and saying hi.
They moved Chip Wild to doing gate guard duty now.
No.
Oh.
He was running the show down in Daytona, moving people. But nonetheless, that fella was Penny Stacker of the Week. You got any Penny Stackers?
I had a bunch of people, firemen, bunch of people come up to me, but I didn't get anybody's name because it was kind of a thrash of a day. But every week, man, we get a lot of people that come say, hey, and really appreciate it. Couple shout outs. Justin Allgaier wins the Xfinity race. Close one with Eric Almirola. Eric Almirola's having a blast, buddy. Corey Heim wins the Truck Series race. I fell asleep for that one.
Me too. And then I woke up again, watched some more, and then fell asleep again.
Yep, Corey Day won the dirt race at Vegas. It's cool that they have high limits there. I heard there was a big crowd, and it was a good show. Man, did you hear about Justin Bonsignor?
No.
So Justin, it was 2 weeks ago now, his wife Taylor was pregnant.
Okay.
And long story short, she went into labor. Justin had to deliver the baby
What?
in a McDonald's parking lot.
That's amazing.
Yes. So he said, I saw, they have the full story
Did
about.
they name him Ronald?
No. But they have a full story about it. Taylor, his wife, I think, wrote the full story on Facebook. But Justin Bonsignor, exciting year for him.
Yeah.
Modified champion. I think he's second or third on the all-time win list modifieds, but he's got an opportunity at Gibbs to run some Xfinity races.
Dude,
he said,
we got to get him in here and talk about it.
Yeah, he said, I will now be referred to as Dr. Bonsignor from now on, a driver inches. Thank you very much. So crazy story coming out.
Well, hope mom and baby Grayson are doing well. Shout out to them. That's wild.
That's wild. Some
McDonald's
crazy stuff going on up there in Long Island. They need to build hospitals closer to the house, it seems
Yeah.
like.
That's some Talladega Nights.
That is. Push.
Yeah.
Push. Goodness.
Whether you're watching us on YouTube, hope you are. We got a lot of great clips to run through this week with you guys, or listening to us on SiriusXM Channel 90, or watching us on Tubi. Where else? Wherever you find your podcast.
With no CH. Just a T.
Yeah, it's Tubi. And also, if you just give us 5 stars and a follow and a subscription if you're on wherever you find your podcast, and we'll keep showing up each and every week and giving you the content that you come to know and love. Corey LaJoy alongside Ryan Flores. Thank you for stacking pennies with us this week. Talk to you next week. Oh, almost forgot. Joseph Newgard coming in last week, playing this week. It's going to be a great, great interview. We had a blast with him. He beat me by a point in ping pong, which I'm still a little bit salty about.
You really folded.
I wanted him to come back. That was my excuse. I was working his ass over 6-0. Then he made a comeback because I also started feeling bad for him. So
That's what you get. That's what. Hey,
the man's a competitor and a champion. But we had a blast right here in Nonsense Garage. That's going to be a standalone episode. Tune in for that. It's going to be a lot of fun had there. Spare Change Thursday. I don't know. We'll just keep showing up, keep talking about it. Talk to you next week. Going to Homestead this weekend. Have a great week. Goodbye.